Cheating wife story caught my wife cheating with her boss in Raleigh. I caught her laughing on a call, her voice low teasing. He'd never suspect she said it wasn't my name on her lips. That laugh, it gutted me. If this story moves you, don't forget to drop a comment and subscribe to Viora for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. I'm Micah Reeves, 47, a man who's carved out a good life in Raleigh, North Carolina. I own a mid-sized real estate investment firm. Nothing flashy, but it pulls in low seven figures a year. My office is a corner suite with a view of oak-lined streets, a far cry from the trailer park I grew up in. My home's a 4-bedroom craftsman in a gated community complete with a backyard fire pit and a garage for my '98 Mustang. My one indulgence, Sophie, my wife of 9 years, is 34. She's got this radiant smile that lights up rooms, dark curls that fall just right, and a knack for making strangers feel like old friends. We met at a Chamber of Commerce mixer. She was a junior property manager. I was pitching a development deal. She challenged my numbers, all fire and wit. I was hooked. A year later we were married, no kids, just us building a life of quiet dinners, weekend drives to the coast, and plans for a future we swore we'd share. I thought we had it all. I was wrong. It started 6 months ago. Sophie's phone became her shadow. She tilted away when I walked by, her fingers quick to lock the screen. Work stuff, she'd say, her smile too tight. She's a senior manager now at a commercial real estate firm, long hours, big clients. I believed her. Then the late nights piled up, client drinks she'd mutter, slipping in at midnight, her perfume mixed with something sharper, gin. Maybe her dresses got bolder, her heels higher. I'd ask about her day, get one-word answers. I'm not naive. I've negotiated with sharks who'd smile while tanking your deal. But Sophie, I trusted her until I couldn't. Last month I was up late finalizing a contract for a strip mall acquisition. Sophie was at a networking event. Her purse sat on the kitchen counter, her phone buzzing inside. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again and again. Curiosity won. I glanced at the screen. A text from C. Newton, miss you already, tomorrow. My throat closed. I knew that name, Craig Newton. 46, a slick-talking broker at her firm. I'd met him at her company's holiday party. He'd clapped my shoulder, called me the man behind the queen, his eyes lingering on Sophie too long. I'd laughed it off. Now my hands shook. I didn't unlock her phone. I didn't need to. The truth was a blade, and it was already in. I poured a bourbon, sat in the dark, and waited. Sophie came home at 1 a.m., her heels clicking on the hardwood. You're up, she said, startled, tossing her keys. Couldn't sleep, I said, my voice calm. How was the event? She shrugged, avoiding my eyes. Fine, same old. She kissed my cheek quick and headed upstairs. I stared at the empty glass in my hand. Fine, right. The next day I acted normal. Made her coffee, asked about her schedule. She mentioned a site visit out of town. Back tomorrow, she said. Packing an overnight bag? I nodded, smiled. As soon as her car pulled out, I called my IT guy, Paul Dorsey. Paul's a genius with systems, no questions asked. I need a trace on a phone. I said discreet. He didn't blink. By noon, he sent coordinates, not a site visit. A boutique hotel in Asheville, 2 hours away. I grabbed my keys. If this was a cheating wife story, I'd see the proof myself. The hotel was all polished wood and mountain views, the kind of place Sophie loved. I parked, tugged on a cap, and walked in. The lobby bar was busy, couples laughing over wine. I spotted her instantly. Sophie in a red dress, her hand on Craig's arm. He leaned in, whispering something that made her laugh, that same laugh from the phone call. My chest burned. I didn't approach. I watched. They shared a charcuterie board, their knees touching under the table. He brushed a curl from her face. She didn't pull away. I turned left before I broke something. Back home, I dug into Craig LinkedIn industry forums, old emails. He was a rising star at Sophie's firm, known for landing big clients, but also for cutting corners. A post on a real estate subreddit mentioned him dodging a deal gone sour. Shady, but nothing concrete. I needed more. I called Paul again. Emails, texts, anything you can get. He hesitated. That's a line, Micah. I leaned into the phone. Cross it, he sighed. Give me 48 hours, Friday. Sophie was back, all smiles. Missed you, she said, wrapping her arms around me. I stiffened but played along. Missed you too. We cooked dinner, opened a bottle of Merlot. She talked about her site visit, some warehouse deal. I nodded, my mind elsewhere. Paul's report came that night encrypted. I waited until Sophie was asleep, her breathing soft beside me before opening it. Emails between her and Craig flirty at first, then explicit plans to meet photos. One showed them at a rooftop bar, her lips on his. Another worse was a screenshot of a bank transfer. $50,000 from a client account Sophie managed funneled to an LLC linked to Craig. My heart stopped. Was she cheating or was she in on something bigger? I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to know how deep this went. Saturday I tailed Craig. He drove a flashy Audi parked at a country club on the city's edge. I followed, keeping distance. He met a man in the parking lot. Older, silver hair, sharp suit. They argued, voices low but heated. I snapped a photo. The older man looked familiar, like someone I'd seen at a fundraiser. I sent the pic to Paul. ID this guy. Paul texted back an hour later. Henry Caldwell, CEO of Sophie's firm, bad reputation. SEC's been sniffing around him. Sunday the first twist hit. I was at a coffee shop reviewing Paul's latest batch of emails. My phone rang. My old friend Jake Larson, a lawyer who'd handled my firm's contracts. "Micah, you free?" he asked, voice tight. We met at a diner, the air thick with grease and coffee. Jake slid a folder across the table. "Found this in a client file. Thought you should see it. Inside a contract. Sophie's signature authorizing a property sale for half its value. The buyer, a shell company tied to Craig." "This is fraud," Jake said. "She could go down for this." I stared at the paper, my jaw tight. "Why show me?" Jake leaned back. "Because I know you. You'll want to handle this your way." Monday I played a card. I called a board member at Sophie's firm, Ellen Walsh, a straight shooter I'd met at a gala. "Ellen, I'm hearing rumors," I said, keeping it vague. "Caldwell Newton off-book deals." She paused too long. "Micah, be careful. Henry's untouchable. And Craig, he's his attack dog," I pressed. "And Sophie." Another pause. "She's in over her head. That's all I'll say." I hung up, my mind racing. Sophie wasn't just cheating, she was swimming with sharks. Tuesday the next twist, I got an anonymous email. No sender, just a link, a video. Grainy timestamp last week, Sophie and Craig in a parking garage arguing, her voice sharp. "You said this was clean, Craig." Him smirking, "You signed the papers, sweetheart. You're as dirty as me." She slapped him. He laughed. The video cut off. My hands shook. Was she trapped or playing a part? I forwarded the link to Paul. "Trace this Wednesday." I followed Sophie. She left work early, drove to a park. Craig was waiting, leaning against his Audi. They talked, closer, hand on his chest. I snapped photos, my gut churning. Then Caldwell pulled up. Sophie froze. He said something sharp and she nodded, her face pale. Craig smirked like he'd won. They drove off separately. I sat in my car, the photos burning a hole in my phone. Sophie wasn't just cheating with Craig. She was answering to Caldwell. "But why Thursday?" Paul called. "Got a hit on that video sent from a burner account, but it's linked to someone inside Sophie's firm. Low level. Probably a whistleblower," I nodded. "Keep digging." "And Caldwell, anything on him?" Paul grunted. "He's got offshore accounts. Big ones. Sophie's name's on 2 transfers, small but enough to tie her." I hung up, my head spinning. Sophie, my Sophie, laundering money. I couldn't reconcile it. The woman who'd cried at our wedding, who'd planned our 10th anniversary with a scrapbook of our life, was she gone Friday? The biggest twist yet. I was at the office reviewing a new deal. My assistant Tara buzzed me. "Someone's here. Says it's urgent." I stepped into the lobby. Jake looking grim. "Micah, we got a problem." He handed me a document. A wire transfer, $100,000 from my firm's escrow account to one of Caldwell's shell companies. My signature was on it. "This isn't mine," I said, my voice steel. Jake nodded. "I know, but someone's setting you up." I stared at the paper. Sophie's face flashing in my mind. Had she done this? Or was it Craig Caldwell? I told Jake to lock it down. "No one sees this." Not yet that night. Sophie was home cooking pasta, humming. I watched her, the anonymous video replaying in my head. "Good day," I asked, my tone even. She smiled, oblivious. "Yeah, closed a deal." I nodded, sipping my wine. "Closed a deal." Right, I didn't sleep that night. The photos, the video, the forged signature. They were pieces of a puzzle I couldn't solve, but I was close, too close, and Sophie. She was either a victim or a mastermind. I'd find out which. I poured a coffee, the steam curling in the morning light. Sophie was upstairs showering, her voice humming a tune I didn't recognize. The forged wire transfer with my signature sat locked in my desk, a ticking bomb. Her name on offshore accounts, her slap across Craig Newton's face in that grainy video. Her meeting with Henry Caldwell, they swirled in my head like a storm. Was she a pawn or a player? I'd loved her for 9 years, built a life with her. But now every smile felt like a mask. I wasn't just fighting for answers, I was fighting for the truth about who I'd married Saturday. I called Paul Dorsey, dig into Caldwell's accounts. I said, in that whistleblower, I need a name. Paul grunted. You're playing with fire. Micah, I didn't care. Fire was all I had left. By noon, he sent a preliminary report. Caldwell's shell companies were linked to a dozen real estate flips each, bleeding money through fake loans. Sophie's signatures appeared on 3, small deals but enough to tie her to fraud. The whistleblower was trickier. Paul traced the burner account to a junior analyst at Sophie's firm, Lisa Bennett. I knew her quiet glasses, always at the edge of company events. Why risk her job to tip me off? I told Paul to arrange a meeting. Discreet Sophie left for brunch with a client at 11 a.m., her heels clicking, her perfume sharp. I waited 10 minutes, then tailed her, no brunch. She drove to a high-rise downtown, parked, and took the elevator to the penthouse Craig's building. I'd seen it in Paul's reports. My jaw tightened. I didn't follow. Instead, I called Jake Larson. That forged transfer, I said. Check if it's tied to Caldwell's shells. Jake sighed. Micah, you're obsessed. I hung up. Obsessed was better than blind. Sunday, I met Lisa Bennett at a dog park far from her office. She was nervous, clutching a leash, her beagle sniffing the grass. Why'd you send the video? I asked, no preamble. Her eyes darted. I saw Sophie and Craig, heard them talking about moving money. It wasn't right. I leaned in and Caldwell, she swallowed. He runs everything. Craig's his front. Sophie, she's scared. Mr. Reeves, I heard her crying in the break room once, saying she wanted out. My chest tightened. Scared or acting? Why me? I pressed. Lisa looked down. You were kind to me at the holiday party, gave me your card. I figured you deserved to know. I nodded, slipped her a burner phone. Anything else, call me. She left her beagle trotting behind. Monday. The first twist hit. Jake called that transfer. It's linked to one of Caldwell's shells. But here's the kicker. Sophie's firm flagged it. Internal audits investigating, your name's on their radar. My blood ran cold. My name. Jake's voice was grim. Someone's framing you, Micah, and it's clean, paper trails airtight. I slammed my fist on the desk. Sophie, Craig, Caldwell. I was a step behind and it was costing me. I drove to Sophie's office, parked across the street. She was at her desk, typing, her face calm, too calm. I watched Craig stride by, all swagger, his hand brushing her shoulder. She didn't flinch. My phone buzzed. Paul, Lisa's gone dark. No calls, no email. Her desk's cleared out. My stomach dropped. Had Caldwell gotten to her? I texted Lisa's burner. No response. I wasn't just chasing Sophie's lies. I was in a game where people vanished. Tuesday, I played a card. I called Ellen Walsh again, the board member. Ellen, I know about Caldwell's shells, Sophie's signatures. My firm's being dragged in, help me. She met me at a quiet cafe, her face lined with stress. Micah, you don't get it. Henry's got half the board in his pocket. Craig's his enforcer. Sophie, she's leverage. I leaned forward. Leverage, how? Ellen sighed. She's ambitious, wanted a corner office. Henry dangled it. Got her to sign things she didn't understand. Now she's trapped. I gripped my coffee mug and the affair. Ellen's eyes softened. That's Craig's game. He's good at breaking people. I left my mind racing. Sophie trapped. But her laugh on that call, her hand on Craig's chest, it didn't scream victim. Wednesday, the next twist. Paul sent a new file, bank records. A $75,000 transfer from Sophie's personal account to an LLC tied to Craig, dated last week. I stared at the screen. Our joint savings, she'd drained it for him. For Caldwell, I called her bank, posed as her to confirm. The rep hesitated. Mrs. Reeves closed that account yesterday, sir. In person. My vision blurred. Closed it, gone. I didn't call Sophie. I drove to her firm's gym where she worked out mornings. She was on a treadmill. Earbuds and oblivious. I watched her, the woman I'd vowed to protect, now a stranger stealing from me. Thursday, I followed Craig. He left his penthouse, drove to a construction site on the city's edge. Caldwell was there in a hard hat, barking at a foreman. They stepped into a trailer. I waited, then slipped closer, my phone recording. Through a window, I caught fragments. Sophie's getting sloppy. Craig said she's asking questions. Caldwell's voice was ice, handle her or I will. My blood froze. Handle her, I backed off, sent the audio to Paul. Clean it up, send it to Jake. If Sophie was in danger, I needed leverage. If she was playing me, I needed proof. Friday the 3rd twist. I got a package at my office. No return address. Inside a flash drive and a note. She's not who you think. I plugged it in, my door locked. A video loaded Sophie in a hotel room, not with Craig, with Caldwell. She was pacing, her voice sharp. You said no one would get hurt. Henry, you lied. Caldwell smirked, pouring a drink. You wanted the big leagues, Sophie. This is it. Sign the next deal or your husband's firm goes down. She froze, her face pale. Micah, the video cut off my hands, shook. Blackmail. But why sign the deals? Why sleep with Craig? Was it all coercion or was she hedging her bets? I met Jake at his office, showed him the video. Jesus, Micah, he said, rubbing his temples. This is bigger than fraud. Caldwell's running a syndicate. Sophie's their paper trail. I nodded, my jaw tight, and my signature on that transfer. Jake sighed. Could be Craig. He's got access to her accounts. Or Sophie. Hard to prove. I left my head spinning. Sophie a victim. Sophie a liar. I couldn't tell anymore. Saturday I followed Sophie again. She drove to a lake house, one of her firm's rental properties. Craig's Audi was parked outside. I watched from the woods, my binoculars steady. They were on the deck arguing. Her hands flew, her voice loud enough to carry. I'm done, Craig. You and Henry can burn for this. He grabbed her wrist. She yanked free, stormed inside. I snapped photos, my heart pounding. Done, then why meet him here? I waited. Caldwell's Mercedes pulled up. Sophie came out, her face hard. They talked low, intense. She nodded, got in her car and left. I stayed watching Craig and Caldwell. They laughed, clinked beers like they'd won Sunday. Paul called. Lisa's alive, hiding. She's got more. Meet her tomorrow. I nodded, relief mixing with dread. That night Sophie was home cooking chili. Her smile soft. Missed this, she said, stirring the pot. I watched her, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. Me too. She didn't notice the edge. Or maybe she did. Monday I met Lisa at a truck stop, her beagle in her car. She handed me a folder. Caldwell's planning a big flip, she said, her voice low. Commercial Plaza, Sophie's signing it. If it goes through, they'll clear millions and your firm's tied to the loan. I flipped through the papers. My company's name, my signature forged again. Why help me? I asked. Lisa's eyes were hard. Caldwell fired my sister last year. Framed her for theft. This is payback, I nodded. Gave her cash. Stay safe. Tuesday the 4th twist. I got a call from Ellen Walsh. Micah, audit's closing in. Caldwell's spooked. He's blaming Sophie. I gripped the phone. Blaming her. How Ellen's voice dropped. Says she botched the transfers. He's cutting her loose. Maybe worse. My blood ran cold. Worse. I drove to Sophie's office, saw her leaving with Craig, his hand on her back. They climbed into his Audi, sped off. I followed my Mustang, blending into traffic. They stopped at a dive bar. I parked, watched through the window. Sophie was drinking, her face tense. Craig leaned in, whispering. She nodded slow, like she was agreeing to something. My phone buzzed. Paul Caldwell's meeting investors tonight. Big players. Sophie's there. I stared at the bar, Sophie's silhouette against the neon. Was she playing Craig Caldwell or me Wednesday? I went to the meeting, a private club. All mahogany and cigar smoke. I used Ellen's name to get in, posed as an investor. Sophie was there in a black dress, shaking hands. Craig hovered, his smile sharp. Caldwell held court, pitching the Plaza deal. I listened, my recorder hidden. Sophie's eyes met mine across the room. She froze, her glass trembling. I didn't blink. She looked away, her face pale. Caldwell mentioned my firm, a trusted partner. My forged signature. I left before the toasts, my heart pounding. Sophie knew I was onto her. The game was shifting. Thursday, the final twist for now. Paul sent a cleaned-up audio from the construction site. Caldwell's voice clear. Sophie's a liability. After the deal, she's out. Accident, maybe, Craig laughed. Her husband's the problem. He's sniffing around, my blood froze. Accident, I called Jake. File a report, anonymous Caldwell's syndicate. Sophie's in danger. Jake hesitated. You sure I wasn't, but I said do it that night. Sophie came home late, her eyes red. Micah, we need to talk, she said, her voice shaking. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved, the woman I didn't know. Talk, I said, my voice steel. She opened her mouth, but her phone buzzed. Craig's name flashed. She silenced it, her hands trembling. It's not what you think, she whispered. I laughed cold. Then what is it, Sophie? She didn't answer. She just cried. And I walked away, the truth closer but still out of reach. Sophie's tears hit the hardwood, her phone still glowing with Craig's name. I stood in the doorway, my shadow long across the kitchen. Her whispered, "It's not what you think," hung in the air. Fragile, unconvincing, I wanted to shake her, demand the truth about Craig Newton Henry Caldwell, the forged signatures dragging my firm into their syndicate. But her trembling hands, the fear in her eyes, stopped me. Was she a liar or a prisoner? I'd spent weeks chasing answers, and now with her breaking in front of me, I was no closer to knowing. I turned, grabbed my jacket. "I'm done guessing, Sophie," I said, my voice low sharp. "Prove it or we're through." She called after me, but I was already out the door, the night air cold on my face. Friday morning I met Paul Dorsey at a gas station, his pickup idling. He handed me a thumb drive. "Lisa's last drop," he said, his voice rough. "She's gone, left town. Said it was too hot." I nodded, my jaw tight. Lisa Bennett. The whistleblower had risked everything to expose Caldwell's game. Now she was a ghost. Back at my office, I plugged in the drive. Files, emails, voice memos. One caught my eye, a recording time-stamped 2 days ago. Sophie's voice shaky. "Henry, I can't keep doing this. Micah's asking questions." Caldwell, calm, venomous, "You'll do it or your husband's firm burns," and you with it, a pause. Then Craig laughing. "She's got no choice, boss, she's ours." My blood boiled. Ours. I copied the files, sent them to Jake Larson with a note. "Push the report." Now I didn't go home. I checked into a motel, the kind with thin walls and flickering lights. Needed space to think. Sophie's text lit up my phone. "Please, Micah." Let me explain, I'm scared. I ignored them. Instead, I called Ellen Walsh, the board member. "Ellen, Caldwell's planning an accident. Sophie's the target." Her voice was tight. "Micah, I warned you, Henry's ruthless. I'm out of moves," I pressed. "Then give me something, anything." She hesitated. "Check the Plaza deal's escrow. There's a name you'll recognize." I hung up, my mind racing. Escrow. I pulled up my firm's records. Cross-checked the Plaza deal. Buried in the fine print. A co-signer, Nathan Reeves, my cousin. We'd grown up together, shared beers at family cookouts. He was a mid-level exec at a rival firm. Why was his name here Saturday? I confronted Nathan. Showed up at his condo unannounced. He was in sweatpants, a beer in hand, the TV blaring a basketball game. "Micah, what the hell?" he said, stepping back. I tossed the escrow document on his coffee table. "Explain this." His eyes widened, then narrowed. "You're digging where you shouldn't." I stepped closer, my voice steel. "My wife's neck's on the line. My firm's tagged for fraud. Your family, Nate." "Talk." He sighed, sank onto the couch. "Caldwell approached me last year. Needed a clean name for the Plaza loan. Said it was a favor. I didn't know Sophie was involved. I didn't buy it. You signed my name on a transfer, didn't you?" His silence was answer enough. I walked out, my fists clenched. Family, another betrayal. Sunday, the first twist hit. Paul called. Caldwell's moving the deal forward. Closing tomorrow, Sophie's signing. I gripped the phone. Where he gave me an address, a law firm downtown. I drove there, parked a block away. Sophie's car was already there. Craig's Audi beside it. I waited, my binoculars steady. She stepped out, her face pale. A briefcase in hand, Craig followed, his hand on her elbow, guiding her like she was property. My stomach churned. Then Caldwell arrived, his Mercedes gleaming. They went inside. I texted Jake. "It's happening. Get the feds ready." He'd filed the anonymous report, tipped off the SEC. If Caldwell signed, they'd have him Monday, the second twist. I got a call from an unknown number. A woman's voice, low, urgent. "Mr. Reeves, it's Lisa. Don't hang up." My pulse spiked. "Where are you?" she whispered. "Hiding. Caldwell's people found me." I got out, but they're close. I leaned forward. "What do you have?" She sent a file through a secure app. Photos, documents. A ledger showing Caldwell's syndicate funneling millions through the Plaza deal. Sophie's signatures were everywhere, but so was Nathan's. And another name, Tara Coleman. My assistant. I stared at the screen, my heart sinking. Tara, who'd buzzed me about every visitor, who'd handled my schedules. Was she in on it? I called Tara, kept my voice casual. Need you at the office, urgent. She showed up, her smile practiced. What's up, boss? I slid the ledger across my desk. Explain this. Her face didn't change, but her hands twitched. I don't know what that is. I stood towering over her. Don't lie, Tara. Your name's on Caldwell's books. She backed up, her eyes darting. Micah, I swear, I just filed what Sophie gave me. Sophie, always. Sophie, I fired. Tara on the spot, told her to stay away, but the damage was done. My inner circle, Sophie, Nathan. Now Tara was rotting. Tuesday, the third twist, I tailed Sophie to a warehouse, one of her firm's properties. She was alone. No Craig, no Caldwell. She paced outside, checking her phone. Nervous, I watched from my car, my camera ready. A black SUV pulled up, not Caldwell's. A man stepped out, mid-50s, gray suit. Familiar, I zoomed in. Senator James Harlan. I'd met him at a fundraiser, shaken his hand. He was a silent investor in my firm, a favor I'd done for a client. Sophie handed him a folder, her movements quick, furtive. He nodded, got back in his SUV and left. My mind reeled. A senator was Sophie playing a bigger game than Caldwell. I followed Harlan's SUV to a private airstrip. He boarded a jet, gone in minutes. I sent the photos to Paul ID, the folder. Paul called back an hour later. Can't, but Harlan's tied to offshore banks. Same ones as Caldwell. Sophie's meeting him wasn't random. I gripped the steering wheel. Sophie, not just a pawn or a player. She was a broker moving pieces for men like Harlan. But why money, power, or something else? Wednesday, the fourth twist, Jake called. SEC's raiding Caldwell's office. Your tip worked. They've got Craig in custody. My heart raced. And Sophie, Jake's voice was grim. She's missing. Left the law firm after the signing, hasn't been seen. I hung up my hands, shaking, missing or running. I drove to the lake house, the last place I'd seen her with Craig. Her car was there, parked crooked, the driver's door open. I approached, my gun in my jacket, old habit from rougher days. Inside, the house was trashed. Furniture overturned, papers scattered. A bloodstain on the carpet, small but fresh. My stomach dropped. I called. Paul, find her now, Thursday. Paul tracked Sophie's phone to a motel in Durham. I drove there, my mind a blur. Room 12. I knocked. No answer. The door was unlocked. Sophie was inside, curled on the bed. Her face bruised, her eyes hollow. Micah, she whispered, sitting up. I knelt beside her, my voice soft but firm. What happened? She shook her head, tears falling. Craig. After the signing, he lost it, said I was a liability. I got away, but he's coming. I pulled her close, my rage boiling. You're safe now, I said, but I didn't believe it. Not yet. Friday, the fifth twist. Paul sent a final file. A voice memo intercepted from Craig's phone. Caldwell's voice. Harlan wants her gone. She knows too much, Craig cold. I'll handle it, Reeves too. My blood froze, me too. I took Sophie to a safe house, a cabin I'd bought years ago off the grid. She told me everything. Caldwell had lured her with promises of a promotion, then blackmailed her with forged documents. Craig had seduced her, made her think he'd protect her. Harlan was the puppet master, using Caldwell's syndicate to fund his campaigns. She'd signed the deals to save me, she said. To save us. I listened, my heart torn. Why not tell me, I asked. She looked away. I was ashamed. Saturday, the feds moved in. Caldwell was arrested, his syndicate exposed. Harlan's name stayed clean. Too powerful. Too connected. Craig took the fall, charged with fraud and assault. Sophie was a witness, her testimony sealed to protect her. We sat in the cabin, the fire crackling, the world outside a mess. I love you, she said, her voice small. I looked at her, the bruises fading, but the lies still sharp. I don't know if that's enough, I said. She nodded, tears falling. I stood, grabbed my keys. Stay here, I need time. I drove to the coast, the ocean gray and restless. Sophie's betrayal. Nathan's greed. Tara's complicity. They'd cracked something in me. But Caldwell's arrest. Craig's cuffs. Sophie's testimony, I'd played my part. A quiet revenge not with fists but with truth. I thought of Sophie alone in the cabin waiting. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her? The waves didn't answer. I pulled out my phone, stared at her last text. I'll wait as long as it takes. I didn't reply. Not yet. Did I walk away to protect myself or to punish her? What would you have done? Like what you heard? Hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Viora because the next story might just be your favorite one yet.